Habits are the invisible architecture of our everyday lives. They guide how we wake up, how we think, how we work, how we interact with others, and how we sleep. At the core of every success or failure in life, habits play a foundational role. James Clear, in his groundbreaking book Atomic Habits, reveals how small changes, atomic habits, can lead to remarkable results if practiced consistently. Everything we do repeatedly becomes who we are. The man who goes to the gym every day, the woman who wakes up early to write, the student who reads daily, all these identities are sculpted through repeated actions. The key, therefore, is not just to set goals, but to build systems that support those goals through daily habits. Clear begins by highlighting that success is not about massive changes overnight. Rather, it's about making small, 1% improvements consistently. A 1% improvement every day compounds into extraordinary growth over time. In contrast, a 1% decline every day can lead to failure, dissatisfaction, and frustration. The power lies in the compounding effect. Habits, whether good or bad, compound as we repeat them. The first step in habit formation is to understand the 4 laws of behavior change: cue, craving, response, and reward. These are the 4 stages of habit formation. A cue triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. The craving provides the motivational force. The response is the actual behavior, and the reward is the benefit you gain from the action. To build a good habit, you must make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Conversely, to break a bad habit, you must make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. These principles act as the foundation for behavior change, and mastering them allows anyone to shape their identity and achieve consistent growth. Clear emphasizes that one of the main reasons people struggle to stick with good habits is because they try to change the wrong thing. Instead of focusing on outcomes or processes, one should focus on identity change. This means instead of saying, "I want to run a marathon," say, "I am a runner." The shift in self-perception drives long-term change. When you identify as someone who is healthy, fit, productive, or focused, your actions begin to align with that identity naturally. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes accumulate, so does the evidence of your new identity. True behavior change is identity change. The more you reinforce your chosen identity with consistent habits, the more natural it becomes. One of the biggest obstacles to habit formation is the lack of clarity. Clear proposes the use of implementation intentions, a formula that outlines when and where a new habit will occur. For example, I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my living room. This level of specificity makes it more likely that you'll follow through. Another powerful strategy is habit stacking, which involves attaching a new habit to an existing one. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will do 10 push-ups. The brain connects the 2 actions, making it easier to remember and follow through with the new behavior. Environment plays a critical role in shaping behavior. Rather than relying on willpower, design your surroundings to make good habits easier and bad habits harder. For example, if you want to read more, place a book on your pillow every morning. If you want to avoid junk food, don't keep it in the house. Your environment should be a silent partner in your habit transformation. Small habits matter. Even if the results aren't immediately visible, each repetition reinforces the behavior and contributes to your growth. Think of habits as the compound interest of self-improvement. Just as money multiplies through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. One of the most overlooked aspects of habit formation is the power of tracking. What gets measured gets managed. When you keep track of your progress, you become more aware of your behavior. This awareness is crucial. Whether it's ticking off a habit tracker, logging your workouts, or journaling your diet, tracking provides immediate feedback and satisfaction, reinforcing the habit loop. James Clear recommends using a habit tracker, a simple visual cue to remind you to act and a satisfying way to mark your progress. Each check mark becomes a small win, motivating you to maintain your streak. The goal is to never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice becomes the beginning of a new habit, often a bad one. Another important concept in the book is the plateau of latent potential. Many people give up when they don't see results fast enough. But the truth is, habits often don't yield visible results until after a long period of consistent effort. The work you put in is not wasted, it's stored. And once it reaches a critical threshold, change happens suddenly, like ice melting after gradually rising to 0 degrees Celsius. Patience and consistency are the keys to crossing that plateau. Clear also addresses the role of identity-based habits. Many people start with outcome-based habits. I want to lose weight. But a more effective method is to build habits based on the person you want to become. Identity drives behavior. When you believe in the identity, your habits naturally align with it. Say, I'm a healthy eater, instead of, I'm trying to eat healthy. This small shift leads to sustainable change. Social environment influences habits more than we realize. We imitate the habits of those close to us, those we admire, and those in the majority. By joining groups where your desired behavior is the norm, change becomes easier. Want to write more? Join a writer's group. Want to get fit? Surround yourself with fitness-minded individuals. Social approval is a powerful force, and aligning your identity with a supportive tribe strengthens your new behaviors. James Clear introduces a practical method called the 2-minute rule. This rule states, when starting a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Want to start reading? Begin by reading 1 page. Want to build a workout habit? Start by putting on your shoes. The idea is to master the art of showing up. Doing something small and consistent is better than aiming for perfect and doing nothing. Habits are not a finish line to be crossed. They are a lifestyle to be lived. Once a habit is established, the next step is to scale it up. But you can't improve a habit that doesn't exist. The first priority is always to get the reps in. Build the foundation before optimizing. Action comes before improvement. Clear also warns against the danger of success. Once people achieve a certain level of success, they stop doing the things that made them successful. They get complacent. To avoid this trap, you must fall in love with the process, not the outcome. Mastery requires repetition, and repetition requires passion for the routine. He also highlights that deliberate practice is the path to continuous improvement. It's not enough to repeat the same thing over and over. You must be willing to challenge yourself, reflect, and refine. This is where growth happens. Feedback and discomfort are signals that you are evolving. Finally, Atomic Habits teaches that we all have the power to design our lives through tiny, consistent actions. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. By building better systems through atomic habits, You build a better version of yourself. One day, one action at a time. As you continue to form habits, it's essential to understand the power of environment design. Clear emphasizes that we often underestimate how much our surroundings influence our behavior. If you want to adopt a new habit, you should set up your environment to make that habit easier. For example, if you want to read more, place books in places where you are likely to see them. If you want to stop eating junk food, make it inconvenient by storing it far out of reach or not buying it at all. It's the principle of default behavior, the behaviors we resort to when we don't consciously make a choice. If your environment defaults to good habits, you don't need willpower. You make good choices automatically. For example, if your phone screen is set to show a motivational quote or your work desk is clutter-free, you are more likely to stay focused. The goal is to design an environment that nudges you in the right direction. Clear suggests that implementation intentions are the key to habit formation. By having a specific plan for when and where to perform your habits, you remove the need for decision-making, making it more likely that you'll follow through. For example, instead of saying, "I'll work out today," say, "I'll work out at 6 p.m. in the gym." This clarity of when and where removes ambiguity, increasing the likelihood of success. Building habits is also about automating behavior. One way to automate good habits is by using habit tracking. For example, keeping a journal, ticking off a calendar, or using an app to track your habits makes them feel more tangible. Tracking allows you to see your progress over time and reinforces the behavior. It also helps you reflect on how well you're doing and makes you feel accountable to yourself. Another essential concept in the book is the 2-minute rule, which simplifies the process of starting a new habit. Clear explains that habits should be so easy to start that they only take 2 minutes. The idea is to make it incredibly simple to begin. For instance, if you want to build a reading habit, read 1 page. If you want to work out, just put on your gym clothes. This approach makes it easy to begin, and once you start, it's easier to continue. The second part of the 2-minute rule is to make sure the 2-minute habit becomes a gateway to the larger habit. The key to growth lies in the consistency of small actions. For example, if you start by reading 1 page, you might read more. The critical element is to get started. Repetition, no matter how small, leads to change. Clear also highlights the importance of habit stacking, attaching a new habit to an existing one. For example, if you already have the habit of brewing coffee in the morning, you can stack a new habit on top, such as writing down 3 things you're grateful for while the coffee brews. Habit stacking capitalizes on your existing routines and ensures that the new habit is more likely to stick. The idea of never miss twice is another crucial principle in maintaining habits. We all slip up, but what matters is how we respond when we do. Clear advises that if you miss a habit once, don't let it become a streak. If you miss a workout or forget to meditate, get back on track the very next day. Consistency, even with minor setbacks, is the key to long-term success. Clear also touches upon the role of rewards in habit formation. Rewarding yourself after performing a habit reinforces the behavior, making it more likely to repeat. The reward doesn't have to be extravagant. Even something small, like checking off your habit on a calendar, provides a sense of accomplishment. This positive reinforcement helps the brain associate the behavior with a good feeling, which makes it more likely to stick. Clear emphasizes the importance of identity-based habits. Instead of focusing solely on the outcome, e.g., losing weight, running a marathon, focus on becoming the type of person who embodies the behavior you want. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? When you build your habits around identity, you are more likely to sustain them. For instance, instead of saying, I want to be fit, say, I am a person who values health and fitness. This shift in mindset leads to more sustainable and long-lasting change. To close, Atomic Habits encourages you to build habits in a way that aligns with who you want to become. Small changes, compounded over time, can lead to extraordinary results. The more you make these small improvements, the more they accumulate into powerful shifts in your behavior, mindset, and identity. You don't need massive actions to see massive results. Start small, build consistently, and you'll eventually achieve big changes. Clear also dives deep into the concept of environmental design and how it profoundly impacts habit formation. The principle of make it easy is about simplifying the environment around you to make good habits easier and bad habits harder. The more friction you create around undesirable behaviors, the more likely it is that you will stop engaging in them. For instance, if you want to stop watching TV excessively, remove the remote control from your living room or put the TV out of sight. On the other hand, if you want to start a new habit like reading, place books in visible and accessible places around your home. This idea is a form of habit shaping. The behavior you engage in most often is usually the one that is triggered by the environment around you. In fact, our behaviors are often more dictated by our environment than by our own willpower. So, if you want to make a habit stick, make it so easy that your environment naturally leads you to it. Clear also stresses the power of social influence. Humans are inherently social creatures, and our habits often reflect the behaviors of the people around us. By joining groups or communities where your desired behavior is the norm, it's easier to form the habit. For example, if you want to become a runner, it would be beneficial to join a running club or a fitness group. In doing so, you are exposed to role models who embody the habits you wish to adopt. This sense of belonging makes it easier to maintain good habits and break bad ones. The Goldilocks rule is another fascinating concept discussed in Atomic Habits. It suggests that we are most motivated when we are working on tasks that are just the right level of difficulty, not too hard, but not too easy. If a task is too easy, you get bored. If it's too hard, you give up. The Goldilocks rule states that motivation peaks when you're working at the edge of your abilities, right at the point where things are slightly difficult but achievable. By finding that sweet spot, you can ensure that your habits are always challenging enough to keep you engaged, but not so difficult that they cause frustration. Clear also emphasizes the importance of feedback loops. Feedback helps you understand how well you're performing and provides an opportunity for adjustment. The better the feedback loop, the faster you can identify what's working and what isn't. Clear recommends regularly checking in on your habits to track your progress, either by using a journal or a habit tracking app. The more consistent and detailed your feedback, the better you will be at refining your behaviors and improving your results over time. Another key element in building habits is making habits satisfying. People are more likely to repeat behaviors that are immediately rewarding. Clear explains that the final of the habit, the reward, is crucial in reinforcing behavior. To make a habit more satisfying, find ways to reward yourself immediately after performing the habit. This could be something as simple as enjoying a piece of dark chocolate after completing a workout or checking off a box on a habit tracker. The reward doesn't need to be large, but it should create a sense of accomplishment, reinforcing the habit in your brain. One of the key takeaways from Atomic Habits is that small habits lead to big changes. Clear talks about the power of making tiny, incremental improvements over time. If you improve by just 1% each day over the course of a year, you will be 37 times better. This compounding effect is what makes Atomic Habits so powerful. The biggest results come from the smallest actions, repeated consistently. The key is not to focus on immediate results, but to commit to the process and trust that the results will come over time. Clear also stresses that failure is part of the process. Everyone will slip up at some point, but that's okay. It's how you respond that matters. Instead of beating yourself up over missed habits, focus on getting back on track as quickly as possible. If you miss a workout, don't wait for the next week to start again. Start the very next day. The quicker you recover from a slip-up, the less it will affect your overall progress. Finally, Clear reminds us that habits are not just about outcomes, but about the person you become. Every habit you build is a vote for the type of person you want to be. Over time, your identity will shift to align with the habits you consistently practice. So, when you engage in a positive behavior, you are not just achieving a goal. You are becoming the type of person who does that thing. In this section, Clear introduces the concept of compound growth in habits. He compares habits to money in a bank account. Small deposits made consistently lead to a significant accumulation of wealth over time. Similarly, small improvements in habits, compounded daily, lead to massive results. This concept of compounding means that progress might be slow in the beginning, but over time, your habits will pay off exponentially. Clear also emphasizes the importance of patience. One of the biggest challenges people face with habit formation is that they expect quick results. However, true change takes time. For instance, if you're trying to lose weight, you may not see drastic results immediately. But over time, those small efforts add up and compound, leading to lasting transformation. Patience and consistency are the keys to long-term success, and understanding that results will compound over time is essential to staying motivated. Clear also stresses that mastery of a habit is a gradual process. Instead of focusing on perfection, focus on making progress. He introduces the idea of deliberate practice, which involves breaking down a skill into small, manageable parts and continually improving. Deliberate practice is crucial for mastery because it allows you to focus on the areas that need improvement, leading to steady growth and expertise. Clear highlights identity transformation as one of the most powerful forces behind successful habit formation. Rather than focusing solely on the outcome or the goal itself, focus on the person you want to become. If you want to be a better writer, identify as a writer and practice writing regularly. If you want to be healthier, identify as a healthy person and take actions that reinforce that identity,